He stole $22 million to fund his gambling addiction, and now he's suing FanDuel. This particular guy stole $22 million, but he blames FanDuel for his own theft. The author of this article writes, a former Jacksonville Jaguars employee who embezzled from the Jaguars more than $22 million is suing FanDuel, alleging that the betting company fueled his fantasy sports spending and ignored his gambling addiction. So first of all, that kind of implies that someone thinks that FanDuel has some sort of duty to make sure that people aren't gambling, but that's kind of what they're in the business of. So that could kind of create some interesting legal issues. Do you have a legal duty to make sure that people don't do what you're in the business of? And in this particular case, the guy who did the betting is Amit Patel, and he is currently serving a 6.5-month federal prison term after pleading guilty to stealing money from the Jaguars. Okay. But he alleges that this FanDuel quote unquote VIP host showered him with more than $1 million in betting credits, all expense paid trips, and gifts to prey on him. So not only did this Amit Patel steal $22 million from the Jaguars so that he could bet, I guess he lost it. I don't know. I guess if he was doing a good job betting, he could just give the money back. But it doesn't seem that's what happened. It seemed like he didn't do a great job and lost all the money. At any rate, I don't know that from this article. But it does say that Mr. Patel now seeks $250 million in damages from FanDuel. You might be wondering, how did Mr. Patel even get in the position to embezzle $22 million from the Jaguars to be able to give that money to FanDuel to bet? Well, apparently, Mr. Patel worked for the Jaguars, and according to the article, he managed their virtual credit card, and he used that to siphon off money. Somehow they got wise to it, and eventually, he's no longer with the organization and, is now serving time. I don't know, maybe I'm just completely out of touch here, but Mr. Patel alleges that he was diagnosed with a gambling disorder. A gambling disorder. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that you could have a gambling disorder. And so he says, yeah, I have a gambling disorder, and FanDuel should have known about it, and they kind of preyed on me knowing that I had a gambling disorder by trying to get me to use more of FanDuel services, which is what they're in the business of. But that was bad of them to do because they should have known that I had a gambling disorder. And it's really their fault that I stole all of this money from another organization. So he's blaming FanDuel for his own theft, $22 million worth of theft from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then not only blaming them for that theft, he's suing FanDuel for $250 million. To me, that's just unbelievable. But again, maybe I'm just completely out of touch. You guys can let me know in the comments if you think I'm way off base and FanDuel is wrong. Now, you might say, well, how specifically did FanDuel prey on him? Well, like I said earlier, he alleges that they showered him with gifts and things like that. And what they're saying is that these high rollers, these people that do a lot of betting through FanDuel, they get assigned something called a VIP host. These VIP hosts can do things like, shower you with gambling credits. If you gamble so much money, they can give you $10,000 extra or $25,000 extra dollars, or they can they can put you up in a hotel or do travel stuff to kind of encourage you to gamble more. And so this VIP host, according to Mr. Patel, is a big part of the problem here. And so that's what he is sort of scrutinizing. According to Mr. Patel, at one point, the host started communicating on Mr. Patel's personal phone to avoid detection. So in this particular case, the article says that Patel alleges that FanDuel would give him a $60,000 credit when he reached deposits of at least $600,000 for fantasy sports contests. FanDuel staff delivered those credits in increments of $25,000 and $10,000 to avoid raising suspicions among FanDuel's internal compliance staff, according to the suit. So apparently, if they do gifts of $25,000 and $10,000, that is, according to FanDuel's internal compliance, okay. $60,000 would have been detected. So they're saying that within FanDuel, there was some sort of bad actor that was skirting their own rules to take advantage of Mr. Patel's gambling addiction. Also, it says that the VIP host at FanDuel, that host used his personal cell phone instead of the FanDuel phone to avoid FanDuel detection. So here, this raises an interesting point as well, right? You're suing FanDuel, but yet you're also alleging that FanDuel didn't even know about what you're suing them for. Mr. Patel alleges that FanDuel is at fault here, but yet also says at the same time that FanDuel didn't even know as it was happening because rogue agents that FanDuel had rules to prevent, those people went around FanDuel's rules. So it's not like structurally FanDuel was preying on people. In fact, they had rules to prevent people from being preyed on. And this bad actor went around those compliance mechanisms. Again, I'm having a hard time tracking Mr. Patel here. To me, this is a lot like, somebody who's doing illegal drugs and then trying to sue their dealer and saying, yeah, I destroyed my life or I committed a lot of crimes and things like that, but I'm not taking responsibility for my bad acts. It's my drug dealer's fault. That's almost like what's going on here, is saying I'm not responsible for my actions because I'm an addict and my dealer should have known that I'm an addict and shouldn't have given me crack anymore. Maybe I'm way out of touch. I just think this is totally absurd. I gotta say, the amazing thing was right off the bat that this guy got away with stealing $22 million from the Jaguars. I mean, holy cats, that's pretty impressive in and of itself that A, he got away with it, and B, that Jacksonville didn't detect $22 million missing. Like, that's impressive to me.
I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
Anyway, I digress. I think this is a really interesting case about what duties are owed by gambling agencies. Do they even owe any duties to their customers to make sure that they're not preyed upon? And could they be liable? In fact, this reminds me of another. We do have sort of a related law or body of laws called dram shop laws. Maybe you've heard about something like this. The theory goes something like this. I go to a bar and I drink a bunch of booze, and the bartender, even though I am just completely plastered, continues to serve me booze. And then the bartender watches as I leave, and I get behind the wheel and I create a horrific car crash. Even though I'm the bad guy truly in that case, because I made terrible decisions and drinking too much and breaking the law, committing a criminal offense by drinking too much and getting behind the wheel. I'm literally the criminal in that case, and I hurt somebody else. Do I have a cause of action then? Can I sue the bartender or the bar for serving me too much booze and then letting me get behind the wheel? It's kind of that same idea. And so I guess in this case, you would say, well, maybe the bar is liable. I don't know if they're liable to the bad actor Patel, but maybe they're liable to Jacksonville. Like I said, it's a really interesting set of facts, and it'll be interesting to see what the court does with anything related to these claims.